Yeah. We have to wait. Hello and good evening. I am excited to introduce Siân Brown, a singer-songwriter with an MA in music therapy. She is a sound healer and shamanic practitioner who works as a music therapist in various centers for the homeless and marginalized children and teenagers in Ireland. Siân completed a postgraduate diploma in consciousness, spirituality, and transpersonal psychology with the Alef Trust and John Moores University. And this is where I came across her work as her tutor. Her work stood out for me because she channels her creativity into solid artistic and music projects. When I found out that she had been working on an album based on Anne Baring's book, The Dream of the Cosmos, A Quest for the Soul, I became very interested. What truly captivates me is her unique, authentic voice. And I invite you to experience it for yourself. Siân, the stage is yours. We are all eager to hear you and participate in your music journey.
Okay, so I'm going to share my screen and share my slides now. And I have to play these, yeah. Okay, so there's nothing I can do about covering some of the slides. That's just the way the visual is. But first of all, thanks to everybody. Thank you to Leela and to SASIG for asking me to present. I really appreciate the interest and support. My name is Siân Brown, and I will be presenting on the making of my forthcoming 11-track album, Follow Your Heart. I will also be showcasing the songs of the album. Apologies, I had hoped to perform some songs live, but I'm currently recovering from quite a nasty bout of COVID and I'm still on the mend. So I hope to get through the entire repertoire within this hour. So I will, without further ado, start presenting. So Follow Your Heart is an album I have written based on the research of Anne Baring in her book, The Dream of the Cosmos, A Quest for the Soul. It's an incredible book that explores humanity's spiritual crisis and the need for a new worldview. Blending psychology, mythology, and science, it advocates reconnecting with the soul and the feminine principle to heal and transform individual and collective consciousness. A little bit about me. I was born in London in 1980 to English parents, but we moved to rural North Cork in Southern Ireland when I was just over 2. I grew up in the remote countryside before moving to Cork City at 17, and I have been living there ever since. My life was not without struggles, and music and songwriting emerged naturally for me as a way to process trauma and making sense of the world. I, like Anne, have always questioned everything and wondered why everything is the way it is. So I became a singer-songwriter early on, writing my first song at 7 years of age. Between the jigs and the reels, I released my first album at the age of 30. Between solo albums, collaborative albums, and charity albums, this next record will be my 7th independent album release. Besides being a singer-songwriter and recording artist, I'm also a music therapist MA, a music therapy supervisor, a certified sound healer and shamanic practitioner, and I also hold a postgraduate diploma in consciousness, spirituality, and transpersonal psychology. And that's my website down at the bottom there if you want to check out my music. So how did this artistic project first come about? Well, I was studying at John Moores University with Alef Trust, doing a postgraduate diploma in consciousness, spirituality, and transpersonal psychology. And we were asked to do a presentation on past lectures of the SMN, Science and Medical Network. The wonderful David Lorimer was my tutor, and we had access to pages of past SMN lectures on YouTube. We were asked to go through them and see if there were any we were interested in. I came across a 3-hour lecture by Anne Baring called The Dream of the Cosmos. And it was just an audio of Anne talking over a really pretty picture of a purple nebula. I think the purple nebula probably attracted me to it first. And then I was really drawn to the name. So I listened to it while cooking and doing things around the house, or if I had to walk anywhere, I would listen to that because it was 3 hours long. But right from the beginning, I was completely hooked on everything Anne was saying. And as soon as I had finished the 3-hour lecture, I instantly wanted to listen to it all over again. I resonated so deeply with the information that soon after the second listen, the idea to base a whole album on the material just jumped out of my brain. And once it was out, it was definitely going to happen. And so I decided to try and contact Anne to let her know. It was her research after all. I didn't know if I would ever get through to her, but I thought I'd at least try and get her blessing. So who exactly is Anne Baring? I'm sure everyone here knows already, but Anne is a British Jungian analyst, author, and lecturer. She specializes in mythology, alchemy, and the feminine principle in spirituality. Anne has written extensively on the soul, consciousness, and the sacred, aiming to inspire a deeper connection to the divine and a transformation in human consciousness. So I found an email address on her website and emailed her my idea to write an album based on her research. I didn't know if it would reach her or not, but to my excitement, Anne replied not long after I sent her the email. I was so pleased to read that she thought it was a lovely idea. And it was Anne who suggested I get the book and use the book as the guide for the album. Anne was so supportive and friendly and kind from the very, very, very beginning. So I got the book and I began my journey with it. As you can see by the contents page, the book is divided up into 6 parts. Part 1, my quest begins. Part 2, the lunar era. Part 3, the disassociated psyche and the pathology of separation and loss. Part 4, recovering the connection to the soul. Part 5, a new vision of reality. And Part 6, transformation, final participation. These sections made things easier for me as it seemed logical to write 1 or 2 songs per part to produce possibly a 10 to 12 track album, which is a standard length album for the most part. Most of my albums have 10 or 11 tracks in total. So once I knew what I was going to do, I made a start. So on the right there, you can see my journal. I read each chapter and each section 3 or 4 times each. I really wanted to make sure I was getting into the information properly. As I read, I was underlining sentences that really struck a chord with me. And after that, I would write these pieces into my journal with the page number so that when I was writing the songs, I could read over all these highlighted texts. What I also decided to do, mostly for my own accountability's sake, but also because my aim was to share Anne's message in as many ways as I could and also start promoting the project, is I began documenting the journey on my YouTube and Instagram pages. I have a whole playlist on YouTube where I talk about each section before playing the songs. The entire playlist is still up on my YouTube channel if you want to watch it. I took the audio from these videos to share the songs with you today. As I said, I'd hoped to do it live, but I'm still recovering from COVID, so they'll have to do. So let's start going through the parts. Part 1, my quest begins. In this section, Anne recounts her personal journey of spiritual awakening. She reflects on her early life experiences and the profound questions that led her to explore the deeper dimensions of the soul and consciousness. That the soul is not in us, that we are in the soul. And as I mentioned while talking about this section on my YouTube channel, Anne has had a very interesting, fascinating, and unique life, but I did find quite a few parallels between mine and Anne's stories. She always felt different, and so have I. She had an out-of-body experience when she was young, and so did I. She was always questioning why everything was the way it was, and so have I. So in reading the book, I really felt I had found a kindred spirit. After quite a few reads of part 1 and going over and over my harvested quotes of the section, I produced the first 2 songs. The very first song being Anne's question in the beginning, "Who am I?" So I will play this first song I wrote, and you can see the lyrics up on screen as we go. A girl bathed in purple light was taken by surprise at a voice that said, I am. As soon as she heard those two big words, a quest began for Anne. She walked the wet grass as the sun rose at dawn. Barefoot she pondered alone in the south of France at her grandmother's house on the hill. Dark night of the soul, a man who stole and broke the young lady's heart. Through sadness and tears, facing many fears, she chanced for a brand new start. A trip to India and see the Far East, where Hindus, Buddhists, and Taoists preached. Sin fell away, enlightenment sprang as her feet touched the dust of the land. Who am I? What is this world inside, and why do I have to hide my wild woman ways? Summers rolled into falls, marriage and motherhood called. A kind man and a little baby girl, she loved them both, but sadness took hold. Jungian thought taught her to dive deep, muse on the meaning of elaborate dreams. Again her quest emerged. Why did we lose the feminine world? Who am I? What is this world inside, and why do I have to hide my wild woman? Wild woman, my wild woman way. So that was the very first song, Who Am I? And these are just demos. The songs have evolved, and these are just demos. So they're not produced. They're just a little demo, but I hope that it gives you a good kind of idea of the songs. So I don't know why, but I can't go on to the next slide. Oh, here we go. So I pulled this quote from page 26 of Anne's book, in part one, where she reflects on her dream, which reminds her of a Rilke poem. I thought it was also fitting to this project, where in fact she is now a song. So I am circling around God, around the ancient tower, and I have been circling for 1,000 years. And I still don't know if I am a falcon or a storm or a great song. So the second song is called Dreams and Visions, as Anne talks about them in this section and explains how they shaped her quest. I read over all her dreams and visions many times to try and weave them into this song, which I'm really pleased with. Again, you have the lyrics on screen.
Let me gather all my dreamlets and put them on a page. Take a rocket to the moon, meet a seven-headed snake. Climb the ladder of consciousness, float over an emerald sea. Skim the surface of cornfields and get captured in the valley. Dreams and visions, visions and dreams, worlds within worlds. What could it mean, O Mother of all living things? Woman of ageless beauty, cosmic goddess of us all. To me larger than large, and eyes smaller than small. Like an atom in the body of God, as above, so below. She revealed her spinning center, and my spin all askew. Dreams and visions, visions and dreams, worlds within worlds. What does it mean, O Mother of all living things? Zigzag down the lightning flash, the foot of the tree of life. Strike the stone, the Shekinah, the voice of the dove brings light. As I stand on the shore of the world and look out at the sea of stars, everything in sacred relationship with a pulse that beats like a heart. Dreams and visions, visions and dreams, worlds within worlds. What could it mean? Dreams and visions, visions and dreams, worlds within worlds. What could it mean, oh Mother of all, Mother of all living things?
So that was Dreams and Visions. And I'm going to quickly move on to part two. After I had completed the first two songs, I moved on to part two. The project was really exciting and satisfying for me, and I was happy with what was coming out. Part two followed, which was called the Lunar Era. And in this section, Anne explores ancient matriarchal societies that revered the Great Mother and lunar cycles. This era emphasized the sacredness of nature, the interconnectedness of life, and the central role of the feminine in spiritual and cultural life. And the quote from page 68, which explains the significance of the moon in that era: The moon gave us an image of life as changeless yet ever-changing, and a cyclical pattern of death and regeneration which ruled all aspects of life. So this is song 3 called Great Mother. I will play the song and let the lyrics speak for themselves.
Great mother of the starry cosmos, the living web of life, queen bee of the hive of nature, everything come alive. Born from your womb of being, darkness into light. Hold high your 3 dimensions, underworld, earth and sky. Spin, spin, spin your web, spin the Milky Way. Every star a node on your net, every atom a piece at play. Great mother of eternal rhythm, of the shimmering moon, changeless yet ever changing, births, deaths renew. Slender crescent as young lady, pregnant when she's full, dwindles back into the darkness like an ancient crone. Wax wane again and again, push and pull the sea. Breathe in, breathe out, behold your sacred seed. Great mother of many symbols, let the griffin fly. The labyrinth, the path that connects us as we live and die. Your guidance always given, whispered on the wind. Your love in sacred spirals, coiling out from within. Spin, spin, spin your web, spin the Milky Way. Every star a node on your net, every atom a piece at play. Every star a node on your net, every atom a piece at play. Great mother of the starry cosmos, the living web of life, queen bee of the hive of nature, everything come alive.
And this next song, and I do have to go through them quickly because I only have the hour. This next song, song 4, Shamanic Vision, explains the more shamanic way of being thousands and thousands of years ago, pre-religion. I did this on my shamanic drum.
Shaman, shaman, beat your drum, travel to the underworld, whence a deeper knowledge comes, kinship with all creation, brother forest, sister sky, everything ensouled. Talk to mountains, birds and bees, listen to the stones. Shaman, shaman, build your bridge, open up your stargate, align your temples, your stone circles with cosmic order. Feel the unseen force of nature, animal spirits, ancestral guides. Every creature now a teacher, healing this and all past lives. Shaman, shaman, beat your drum, dance until the morning light. Sacred landscapes, axis mundi, connecting expanded states. Tell us of the healing herbs, teach us how it's done. Bring the archetypal world to life, show us all are one, show us all are one.
That's shamanic vision, and sometimes the lyrics don't match what I'm singing. That's just because I've since tweaked the lyrics. So I'm going to move on to part 3, the disassociated psyche and the pathology of separation and loss. Here, Anne examines how Western culture's split from the feminine, from nature and the sacred, had led to psychological and societal dysfunction. This disassociation fosters feelings of alienation, meaninglessness, and ecological destruction, highlighting the urgent need for spiritual and psychological reintegration. The lunar era was now changing into the solar era of the warrior. Again, I read these chapters over and over and highlighted sentences that stood out to me, which I later wrote in my journal. This quote on page 115, I felt a good summary. The emphasis during this age is on the masculine archetype, because the ego needed to identify itself with this archetype in order to differentiate itself from the mother. So I wrote Song 5, Warrior, from the perspective of the brutal warriors that came down from the Russian steppes at this point with their sky gods and war chariots, just obliterating the shamanic cultures who had lived in harmony with the land for thousands of years until that point.
Warrior, come down from the steppes on the bare backs of war. Warrior, here to stay, here to slay your shaman's lore. Warrior, what's yours is mine, now you all worship me. Warrior, the heads of your dead in rows at my feet. You will obey me now, you have no choice. I will enslave you now, you have no voice. Warrior, rape the great mother in the name of holy war. Warrior, comply or you die. I will conquer, I will control. Warrior, man is king over every other living thing. Warrior, you follow my God, you praise me when you sing. Your worship of the moon has been and gone. From this day forth you will only worship the sun. Warrior, bring forth the split, separate earth from sky. Warrior, one become two, relegate all but light. Warrior, break heart from mind, only the strong survive. Warrior, drunk on my power, I hear not the mother's cry. I hear not the mother's cry. I hear not the mother's cry. I hear not the mothers, hear not the mothers, hear not the mother's cry.
And so this is song 6, An Orchard Without a Wall, based on the destruction of the goddess culture by religious beliefs at that time, in particular the myth of the fall. On page 140, Anne wrote, "It is strange and surely significant that the Genesis myth takes the life-affirming images of the garden, the tree of life, and the serpent, all inseparable from the goddess in the mythology of the lunar era, and weaves them into a story about disobedience, fear, guilt, punishment, and blame. This era saw the burning of many women as witches." And the title of the song was actually from a passage on page 166 to 167, where Anne wrote about the 15th century author Christine de Pizan, who received a vision telling her, quote, "The female sex has been left defenseless for a long time now, like an orchard without a wall." I just thought that was a really, really striking image.
Welcome to the garden of the goddess that blooms with nature, love, and promise, as she sits beneath the tree of life, spinning galaxies like webs in the night. Her friend Ouroboros, supergalactic, subatomic, skin-sloughing harmonic, a symbol of fertility. Then came the fall that shook us all. He made her small, small, an orchard without a wall. Once infinite in possibility, now confined to just one of 3, virgin mother whore. Pick one, obey his law. Sin, sex, and women banded together for 4,000 years. The fear, the shame, the guilt imposed cover those bodies from head to toe. Don't let anything show. Don't let anything show. So came the fall that shook us all. He made her small, small, an orchard without a wall. A modern mind disconnected from the matrix out of which it has evolved, leaving the land of the soul neglected, the values of the heart uninvolved. Because of this one-sided emphasis on the rational mind, our female intuitions and feelings brushed aside. We're out of balance, can't you see? We need to reconnect with nature and soul to be free. To be free, 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 to be free, free, free. Free from the fall that shook us all. He made her small, small, an orchard without a wall. Free from the fall that shook us all. He made her crawl, crawl, an orchard without a wall. An orchard without a wall.
Next, we go on to part 4, recovering the connection to the soul. In this section, Anne emphasizes the importance of healing the split between the mind and soul. She advocates for embracing spiritual practices, reconnecting with the feminine principle, and integrating ancient wisdom to restore wholeness, foster inner peace, and create a more harmonious, conscious society. And this quote that I love from Jung on page 291, one does not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious. Something I have been trying to do in my own life for years, doing lots of shadow work. I'll get to the bottom of myself. It's the last thing I do. So song 7 is about that, about shadow work, as you can see by the lyrics.
There's a shadow on which we have turned our backs to face only the light of the conscious mind. But deep below the root and rhizome of the soul remains hidden from us in this shadowland. We're hiding from ourselves, we're hiding from our soul. We're hiding from our connection, a collective unconscious holds. It holds a deeper love. A deeper love. 400 years of rational thought has brought us here. Women degraded, elders neglected, children living in fear. Forest felled, the Arctic plundered, animals hurt the most. A predator draining the life of its host. We're hiding from ourselves, we're hiding from our soul. We're hiding from our connection, the collective unconscious holds. It holds a deeper love. A deeper love. A quest for the lost dimension of the soul. Enter the wilderness of the unexplored depth of ourselves. Shine light on our shadows as we return home. Awakened, transformed, connected and whole. We're hiding from ourselves, we're hiding from our soul. We're hiding from our connection, the collective unconscious holds. We're hiding from ourselves, we're hiding from our soul. We're hiding from our connection, the collective unconscious holds. It holds a deeper love. A deeper love. A deeper love. A deeper love.
And song 8 No Woman Wants a War is probably one of my favorite songs, actually. It seems so fitting for the times that we're in.
War is a wicked thing, a terrible wound on the soul. Destruction becomes easy when the sacred is lost. War is a wicked thing, no victor and no vanquished, projecting onto others the evil that they carry. No woman wants a war. No mother wants to lose a child. No woman wants a war. No breaking hearts. No taking life. War is a wicked thing, rejecting love and spirit. Finger on the trigger, our earth to ash in an instant. The hubris of these men, the fear they spread like forest fire through the dry tinder, the innocent shadow drive for dominance. No woman wants a war. No mother wants to lose a child. No woman wants a war. No breaking hearts. No taking life. Nuclear winter, silent spring, weapons of mass destruction shouldn't even exist. The billions spent on these machines could feed the world many times in a cosmic civilization with a transcendent mind. No woman wants a war. No mother wants to lose a child. No woman wants a war. No breaking hearts. No taking life. No woman wants a war. No mother wants to lose a child. No woman wants a war. No breaking hearts. No taking life no more.
So, part 5, A New Vision of Reality, Anne calls for a transformative worldview that integrates science, spirituality, and the sacred feminine. She envisions a harmonious future where humanity recognizes its interconnectedness with all life, fostering ecological balance, spiritual awakening, and a deep collective healing of the soul. The quote I picked for this slide from page 365 just emphasizes the importance of that interconnectedness. One single electron is connected to all others, no matter how great the distance between them. Life is a web of interdependent elements. So song 9, Boundless, is my favorite song on the whole album, I must admit. I'm just so happy with it and so happy to send this song out into the world. and very grateful for Anne's inspiration, without which this song wouldn't exist.
You think you're alone in a world of dead matter, living in parts with fragmented thoughts. When we in the world are woven into a cosmic tapestry, a seething sea of energy, everything breathes together in a symphony of cosmic sound. You were boundless, encompassing the furthest reaches of the universe, moving every atom in existence, from quarks to quasars, galaxies to city streets. You affect the whole, just so you know. We're not all in this together. We are all this together. We are one, we are love. We are a God longing for release from the straitjacket of our beliefs. It's fundamental. Consciousness emanates from every cell. The great sacred mind, the cosmic web of life. You were boundless, encompassing the furthest reaches of the universe, moving every atom in existence, from quarks to quasars, galaxies to city streets. You affect the whole. You were boundless, encompassing the furthest reaches of the universe, moving every single atom in existence, from quarks to quasars, galaxies to city streets. You affect the whole, just so you know.
And this is song 10, explaining how we need to open up the eye of our heart. And we're getting there, we're nearly there.
We are an awakening being, emerging from our long unseeing, reuniting with the ground from which we have come. And one of our greatest gifts, sure to cause the biggest shift, is reconnecting with the soul through our intuition. Take the largest stride of soul you have ever so far. From the depths within imparts the magic of the eye of the heart. Open up the eye of your heart. Instinct is our creative fire, the origin of our deepest desires, the root of our imagination. The bridge between worlds slowly unfurls, connecting waking mind to the dreaming soul. Take the largest stride of soul you have ever so far. From the depths within imparts the magic of the eye of the heart. Open up the eye of your heart. It's love that moves the sun and stars. It's love that adds all the sparks. It's love that heals when things come apart. It's love love that fuels fine works of art. It's love that lights up the dark. It's love that forever fills the heart. It's love. Take the largest stride of soul you have ever so far. From the depths within imparts the magic of the eye of the heart. Take the largest stride of soul you have ever so far. From the depths within imparts the magic of the eye of the heart. Open up the eye of your heart.
So the final part of the book, part 6, Transformation, Final Participation. Here Anne envisions humanity's evolution towards a profound spiritual awakening. She discusses the integration of the masculine and feminine principles, the reconnection with the divine, and the emergence of a collective consciousness that embraces unity, compassion, and ecological stewardship for a renewed world. I wish for that to be a reality. And this quote from page 555 that really blew me away. Stop trying to become God. God is becoming you.
I have a message I think that you should hear. Give me your attention, time is drawing near. Future human has a diamond soul, like alchemists turning metal into gold. From black earth's depths of dazzling darkness shines stellar consciousness. I have a message I think that you should hear. Give me your attention, time is drawing near. The stars above us, the birth of Venus, the space between us and everything. The ground below us, dust and ashes, sacred nexus. It's the dream of the cosmos, the songlines of the soul. It's the music of the spheres, the infinite dance of light. As we descend into the darkness of ourselves, cracks the window to the soul, where light begins to shine, supporting spirit in its transformation, awakening over eons of time. The stars above us, the birth of Venus, the space between us and everything. The ground below us, dust and ashes, sacred nexus. It's the dream of the cosmos, the songlines of the soul. It's the music of the spheres, the infinite dance of life. It's the dream of the cosmos, the songlines of the soul. It's the music of the spheres, the infinite dance of life. Cleanse the doors of perception, heal all self-deception. Light and love, love and light. Cleanse the doors of perception, heal all self-deception. Light and love, love. Hearts and higher selves are greater than the mind. It's the dream of the cosmos, the songlines of the soul. It's the music of the spheres, the infinite dance of life. It's the dream of the cosmos, songlines of the soul. It's the music of the spheres, the infinite dance of life. It's the dream of the cosmos, the songlines of the soul. It's the music of the spheres, the infinite dance of life. It's the dream of the cosmos.
So that was the final song, The Dream of the Cosmos, named after the book. I love this song. I think it's epic. I think it's a great song to end with. I decided just to finish with one song for part 6 that says it all. I like the numerology of 11 tracks, and many of my previous albums have 11 tracks. So that is the complete album all written. So what's next? Well, here on the left is a picture I took last year when I presented some of my project, not yet finished at the time, for an SMN conference for students of spiritual science. It was an absolute dream come true for me to virtually meet Anne, as she is without a doubt one of my heroes, up there with Emily Dickinson. She also has been so supportive of this project the whole way through, offering advice. I have changed lyrics on her suggestions, so I really feel like it is a beautiful collaboration. I also asked Anne her opinion on the name of the album, and she sent me 3 suggestions, and Follow Your Heart was the one that I chose. It really stood out for me, as it is something I've always tried to do in my own life. So now I need to practice recording at home, as well as practice all the songs, the different instrumentation. I'm currently practicing the harp for track 1, Who Am I? I'll record the songs over the summer. I have cut back on my busy music therapy schedule to do this. I'm following my heart. I have a few friends helping me, a well-known traditional Irish percussionist, Tommy Hayes, who was part of the original Riverdance. He's also my music therapy supervisor, and he loves the idea of the album. My husband, Jimmy, will help with production. One of my dearest friends is an amazing cellist, and her husband plays the violin. So between us, I'm hoping to get a beautiful, mystical, Celtic sounding album. I have applied for fundings, but nothing has come through. So I'm self-funding as usual. I'll do all the artwork myself, and I'll launch it as best I can. I have recently been diagnosed with ADHD, which now explains my aversion to networking and setting up gigs. I love performing, but otherwise I like to spend a lot of time on my own, and I'm really awkward in social situations. I find dealing with venue owners and trying to do promotion things really stressful, but I will do my best to organize a launch and a tour when the time comes. And I will be trying for a touring grant from the Irish Arts Council, so fingers crossed with that. I would also love to animate videos to accompany all of these songs, like a little mini film once they are all played together. I have already animated a few of my own music videos already with stop motion animation and shadow puppetry, which I think is quite fitting for this project. You can see these videos on my website. I'll be applying for funding for this project too, but otherwise just trying to get bits done around my work schedule. It took me 6 months to animate my last live video, so these things take time to create, but I do love the process. Overall, this has been and continues to be one of the most exciting and inspiring artistic projects I have ever and will ever be involved in. Thank you so much for your attention. Thank you, a million thank yous to Anne, and thank you so much to Leela for all her support as well. Thank you. That's my presentation.
Thank you, Siân. It was so moving. I had tears in my eyes all through.
Oh.
Yeah.
I'll stop sharing. Thank you.
Okay.
Can I speak? Just to say,
Yes.
I'm absolutely overwhelmed with what you've done. It's very moving. It's absolutely right for this time. And I think it will have a huge success. I'm sure it will get going. So don't have any doubts. You've done a magnificent creation.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And thank you so much for everything. I mean, this wouldn't have come about if it wasn't for you and your amazing research. And thank you for being so supportive and kind.
And the lyrics are wonderful, Sean.
Thank you.
The lyrics the music and your voice, as I said, I think it has such a huge potential to succeed.
I think so too.
Yes, and it should succeed. The message, it's an art form. It's just wonderful work. And together, you have something wonderful to share with the world. And it will happen.
I'll do my very best with it.
I'm sure you will, but it will happen.
It's what people are waiting for, Sean.
Yeah, I think
young people.
Yeah, exactly. Young people would love it.
Oh, I hope so.
Yes, they will. The time will come, and it's not going to take long. It won't take too long. But the lyrics were so moving, and your voice and the music. I'm not a music expert, but I just love it.
Thank you. I'm really glad that you.
I love it too. Because you've created your own creation, as it were, using the base of my book, but you've actually, this is your voice coming through, and these are your lyrics that have turned something that you love into something extraordinary, I think.
Yes, Brenda.
Thank you.
Benna.
Benna, sorry,
I wanted to thank you. It gave me hope. I think it was a spiritual journey for me, especially in a time, in my country at least, Malta, where I'm feeling so helpless and hopeless with all the corruption and the way it's taken hold of every aspect of our lives. But this has given me hope, and also hope that just being myself and doing what I do well in both my work and my activism, that is. I loved your 8th song when it said, "We are together." And I love that. So thank you very, very, very much.
You're welcome. I'm so glad it gives you hope. That would be my hope. Yeah.
Yeah, it works. There's this song. I love all of them, but there is one song about being part of the universe, being part of the cosmos, and and not feeling alone. It can give so much hope to people. It just makes you feel it is empowering, truly empowering, and gives you this freedom to feel that you're part of something bigger. So I'm sure it will resonate with so many people who need it. People really need it. And I'm sure that once you'll do the actual producing with the rest of the music, it will be even more, it will have more impact. It has impact as it is now, but with the rest,
The production, I'm really hoping to do a kind of a Celtic-y, I don't know if you've heard of clannad or any of those, just a lot of like harp and cello and just really Celtic, mystical kind of sound. That's what I'm hoping for.
Yeah, it's there already. There is some, it's already there, but there's also this shamanic drum that you've been using. It's so powerful, really. It's just like, you say it's very difficult to talk about something which touch you on almost kind of, you feel it in your body, and it's very difficult to translate it into words, because it's just a very musical experience. More than that, it's a spiritual journey, like Benna was saying.
That's what I always loved about music, the fact that you could be so misunderstood in the world, but then suddenly you hear a song and it just connects right into the depth of your soul, and suddenly you don't feel misunderstood or alone anymore, because whoever produced this song, it just went right into your soul. That's what I always loved about music.
Yeah, I just think that when more people will know about it and will hear the songs, you will get quite a lot of good feedback. I mean, because it just will resonate with them. I invited you to another conference. I mean, so this is going to be another in June, which is going to be another opportunity for you to, well, to present it and to get the word around. It's just about people being, getting to know your work.
And I really appreciate that, Leela. I appreciate your support and
no, I just love
trying
it.
to help me.
Yeah. Well, because I believe in it. I love it. I mean, it just, I can hear it, it comes from I hear the authenticity of it. That's something so deeply, it comes from the soul, you can hear that. So it's just something that, yeah, connects people to the soul. Yeah.
That's it. I think, and the same thing happened when I first heard that lecture by Anne, when I first was introduced to her, and I was hooked, and as the whole way through, I was like, everybody needs to know this. Everybody needs to know all this stuff. And so that was just this is just me trying to push Anne's message out there, and I understand that I've done it in my own unique way, and I think that it's a good combination. But really, I mean, it's all Anne's message that I'm trying to get out there.
Yeah, but it's also, like Anne said, it's also your work as well, and the beauty of you building on her work to create something else, something new, and this is wonderful to have this her work as a base for other forms, music and other forms of expressions, because it works differently through music and through sound and through art. There are other levels which are non-verbals that you can communicate.
That's it. And I as well, I thought, well, it's such a beautiful book, and it's like a big hefty book, and I love reading, but I know that because of my ADHD, when I was younger, I didn't read very much because I just couldn't, I didn't have the concentration. So I thought this is a way of reaching people who wouldn't really wouldn't necessarily pick up a big book and read it from cover to cover. So this is a decent way of reaching that, other people who wouldn't do the reading.
Anybody else here would like to comment? No, there's Judith. Oh, Annalisa.
Yes, hi. First of all, I mean, congratulations. I always admire musicians for this ability to think in music terms instead of words or perhaps images, which I am more familiar with. So for me, any musical creation to me is like magic. It's like, I don't know where it comes from. But if I haven't read the book, and I have had these questions in my mind for quite some time now, and it's really a question for Anne, I guess. I would like to understand what is the wild woman that she's referring to, and what exactly is the feminine in spirituality, because I have heard this again and again, but I don't know how to how to distinguish the feminine from the masculine in the spiritual world. So I've often heard about yin and yang, and receptive and active energy, and all these kind of distinctions that are usually referred to women and men, like horizontal, vertical, and all this stuff. But I do feel that they are a little bit woolly. I would like to, perhaps I would understand it better if certain characteristics of the feminine spirituality and masculine spirituality had some sort of biological grounding? I don't know. I don't know if I make sense.
Yes, it all makes sense, but you need a great deal of historical knowledge to understand what they are and what the difference is between them and why they need to come together. I think you'll have to read my next book, which I'm working on now. It may be published before I die, or it may not, but I'm giving the whole history in it of what happened to the feminine principle. It happened in the Jewish culture in 623 BC, when the goddess was chucked out by a group of priests who wanted only to keep the male god Yahweh. And the goddess, whose name was Asherah, this is all in a lot of my lectures on my website, disappeared forever, as if she had never existed. And these same priests took the word wisdom, because she was called Divine Wisdom and the Holy Spirit. Those were her titles. And she was also the Tree of Life. They took every reference to wisdom out of the books of the Old Testament, except the book of Proverbs. And you'd never know that wisdom was one of the most important teachings of the Hebrew religion, which it is no longer. So there's a great deal that I could talk about, but it would take too much time. But don't try and work out what's masculine and feminine. Experience it in your own life, work it out yourself, but don't make theories about it, because the theories will evaporate like air, because they're different with each person. And you can argue to the king comes, to the end with people about it, and they will get very angry because they don't agree with what you're saying, and you will get angry because you don't agree with what they're saying, and all that is a total waste of time. Just work it out in your own life, connect with your own soul, ask what the feminine is in you and what the masculine is in you, because this is where Jung's theories are so helpful, because he said that every woman has an animus, which, if she's not in conscious contact with, can act as her enemy and destroy her creativity. But if she makes a friend of him and asks for help, he can become the greatest source of help, giving her all the standing she wants in the world, so to speak. And a man needs to contact the feminine aspect of his nature if he wants to develop his capacity to be able to feel, which has been completely suppressed for 4,000 years. Men were not allowed to feel. So that's briefly all I can say, I think, in the time we've got. But thank you for the very good question. It's very important.
I think June wants to ask a question.
Oh, yes, June.
Yes, I mean, I do agree. And Anne and I have met a very long time ago. I don't know whether you remember, but
I do remember very well.
I mean, the notion that each of us has the male and the female within us, of course, but in the wisdom, when one is summarizing the wisdom, the feminine element, it's usually about more circularity, embracing the body and bringing that back in tune with the mind. And the circularity embodiment, the notion of the linear as being dominant, which we see in the structure of the Hebrew scriptures, only things like Job and Proverbs and Psalms challenging the linear narrative, which has been taken up by the church, but the notion of interconnectedness of everything, rather than the separateness. Those are a valuing of intuition as opposed to rationality. Those are often described as the characteristics of wisdom. Asherah, of course, did live on, and the likelihood is that she was still alive in the temple in Jesus's day, and part of Mary Magdalene's thinking, certainly part of Salome and all of that. And of course, she's alive and well in the goddess traditions now. And in those of us in the church who are trying really hard to rebalance the tradition and to bring those elements back into the tradition. As Anne has said, there's huge rebellion when one tries to do it. One only has to start a hymn, Dear Mother God, for some people to walk out. So it's a difficult struggle. I believe that it is possible to define what some of the feminine characteristics are, and I've written, something like 200 hymns based on that tradition, trying to do that, because I think it has been a disaster, not only for women but for Western society, that those have been sort of deleted from the prevailing value system, which means we've got this horrendous competitiveness and absence of compassion and all sorts of other things which disappeared along with the competitiveness, individualism, and so on. And the church has had a considerable hand in making that happen, and has been controlled in general by old white men. And that without having a variety of people, of ethnicities, of genders, of disabilities, of sexuality in control of managing an institution, it will swing very violently, as the church has, towards one particular view and will marginalize others. And we need to establish things like different from rather than opposed to, because at the moment we're still in a situation of opposed to, of better than, rather than acknowledging difference and embracing paradox within ourselves and within the wider world. And as Jonathan Sachs says, we have to give difference dignity. And at the moment we're not doing that. We're actually persecuting difference. And Jonathan Sachs says very powerfully, if we don't give difference dignity, we'll simply blow the cosmos up. And, some of us, like Anne, spent a long time trying to make that happen. And sometimes our voices are heard and sometimes they're not. And that's the end of my little spiel, really. Sorry, it's taken so long.
I'd just like to add one thing. Thank you so much, June. That was most helpful and expanded very much on what I didn't want to expand on. But there's also Ian McGilchrist's work, which has shown the difference between the left and the right hemispheres of the brain and how we've been conditioned to accept only the left hemispheric point of view. The right hemisphere, which is the imaginative, creative side, has been completely blocked out. He's doing a lot of work on that and is very, very valuable. And people will accept it from a man. If I'd been saying it, they wouldn't accept it, but
yeah,
they accept it from a man. Okay.
Well, we pathologize it when it's in a woman. We make them mad. We call them mad. When it's in a man, we call it scientific insight. And that's the way our world has gone, I'm afraid. And I'm very interested that just recently, in fact, this week, the Vatican has been revisiting the notion of visions and apparitions.
Yes.
And at least establishing that there's a possibility that they are part of normal human experience rather than simply the province of the mad. So I'm rather glad. The Catholic Church holds a little bit of hope in the area of intuition. I'm afraid the Protestant Church offers very little.
That's right. I'm afraid I have to leave now, but thank you so much, Sean, for everything that you've done. And thank you to this audience that have received you and valued your work. And I know it's going to be a tremendous success. I feel it in my bones.
Lovely to see you, Anne.
Thank you. Thank you, Anne.
Sending you every blessing, Anne. Lovely to see you.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye. I mean, I know that Annalisa knows that. I'm not sure that McGilchrist has it as right as I would, I think that McGilchrist, in a funny way, by locating it in various bits of the brain, has contributed to duality. Whereas when you have the brain scans of the musical experience, for example, everything the thing lights up all over the place,
all over,
not in the right or in the left. So it doesn't support that. I prefer to see it more as rationality and intuition, and where those two sit. And let's bring intuition into contact with rationality. Because the two, when they're on their own, are quite serious. Rationality is cruel, and intuition, it can lose touch with reality. So the two actually need to be in a constant interface with one another. The classic example, I think, was Tony Blair and I forget who the other one was, in the Iraq War. He has an intuition of what he must do in the night, and the next day he goes out and does it without having any rationality at all. And that's when intuition gets out of control. And I love what Gandhi said. If God gives me something in prayer, then when I'm out of meditation, I must test it from a Buddhist perspective, a Christian perspective, a Jewish perspective. And if it's all right from all those perspectives, then it's probably all right. If it isn't, it probably wasn't from God anyway. So I think you can see how rationality has to be applied to something that you think is intuitive. And it's not one or the other. It actually has to be both and.
Yeah, I find this is one of the reasons why it is still a challenge to discuss art and spirituality together, because there is a conflict between the vision and the visual aspect and maybe sonic aspect and the rational aspect, and people find it very challenging.
Well, I don't know.
You don't think so?
As a musician, I find it quite straightforward because you have a bright idea for a piece.
Not as a musician,
Wonderful
not
idea.
as
and then you have to sit.
I
then
agree.
You have to sit. Then you have to sit down and work it all out. You know, you have to work out what the oboe will be.
I agree with you.
So,
I didn't mean that. I didn't meant not by artists who work. This is how they create. I mean, they use both faculties. I mean by people who are not artists or people who are just using the rationality to study spirituality, for example, or even psychology.
Annalise is trying to come in, and I've talked too much. Sorry.
Yeah, no, I always come in to either defend McGilchrist or put the dots and the T's. Okay, first of all, I'm sorry that Anne left, because if she had attended McGilchrist's conferences, she would know that McGilchrist does not attribute gender to the left and the right. As a matter of, so he doesn't consider intuition feminine and rationality masculine. Okay, so that's the first T. The second I, the dot on the I, is that in McGilchrist would absolutely agree with June that intuition and rationality must work together, and that musical experiences are whole brain experiences. He hasn't added dualism to our thinking. He is a strong, promoter of whole brain thinking. What he's criticizing is exactly what we all criticize outside of spirituality, which is the fact that in the West, we have put rationality above everything else. And because rationality and logical thinking are left hemisphere attributes, he is saying exactly what we're saying, that it should be the right hemisphere, the master of the left hemisphere, and the left hemisphere, the servant. So I think we have much more in common with, well, you guys have much more in common with McGilchrist than you think you do, because we are saying the same thing.
I love his work.
Yeah, I love his work. I read it. However, a lot of women who read McGilchrist were like, well, he's describing men and women, right? So there's certainly an area of psychology that would attribute to women's psychology characteristics of the right hemisphere, and to male psychology characteristics of the left hemisphere. And as a culture, we are given more value to left hemisphere attributes than right hemisphere. It's just a question of values. We value more rationality than intuition. We value more competitiveness versus cooperation. We value more individuality than collaborative work. It's just a
science
value, or science versus art and spirituality.
Exactly, yeah. Yeah, but she also said about the Jungian way of looking at the psyche, which has both, and it's very extremely important to understand it as well. And it, in a way, she's right. It works well with this theory of the brain.
Yes, but he's
not necessarily.
He also admires Jung's work very, very much.
Yes.
So, and he's a psychiatrist, and
heaven preserve us from psychiatrists, I say.
Sorry?
I said heaven preserve us from psychiatrists.
Yeah, I mean, Jung is almost...
what they have done is pathologize intuition. So, I mean, and psychiatry has a lot to blame in that area.
Yeah.
The vision, which would once have been regarded as the highest spiritual experience, is now pathologized.
Yeah.
And the great medieval visionaries would undoubtedly now be in long-stay psychiatric hospitals.
Yeah, however, she didn't really answer my question about what is the wild woman. And also her focus is very much on Judeo-Christian tradition, but there were plenty of, like Sean was talking about Celtic music and Celtic sound. We're talking about pre-Christianity. And yes.
Well, she wrote a book about the goddess, the image of the goddess throughout, pre-Judaism and Christianity. So she didn't talk about it now, but, this evening, but she wrote a book about it.
I think what's interesting now is where will Jung stand in non-binary people, in transgender? And I think that all of that stuff is challenging the notion that male and female are separate. I don't know where it's going to end up, but I don't think that Jung will hold much, but will be able to hold on to the position that he holds on to in the face of non-binary and various forms of transition and so on, because all of that is muddling the whole male-female thing in some way. And of course, the Kabbalah says that the ultimate, the spiritualization of human beings will bring, there will be no more male and female. And of course, that's exactly what we're seeing.
Yeah.
This is an interesting development, though, because I think in nature as well, we don't see a clear distinction between, like, there isn't a clear distinctions of gender. For instance, in dogs, it's quite common to see male dogs mounting male dogs and female dogs mounting male dogs as well. So this distinction between heterosexual male and female categories is clearly a social and cultural
norm. It's a cultural thing. And of course, what nobody's looked at are the hermaphrodite. And, it's and that area has been completely ignored by everybody except, what's her name, Elizabeth, and omnigender. And once that becomes clearer and is more talked about, because in some cultures that is not corrected, and they're regarded as the most holy people, as being both. So I think there are an awful lot of questions being raised now, and I hope will be raised, probably not in my lifetime, but I see it as, I don't know how far Jung will hold a position in the future years, because he was a product of his culture, and that culture is changing profoundly. And he wasn't actually very good with his woman clients.
Yes, I heard.
No.
I'm sorry, Sean, we haven't even asked you for your comments on this internal discussion.
That's okay. I mean, I am sitting here among really fascinating and interesting women, so I'm just kind of taking it all in. But yeah, I suppose what I think is that there is a huge blurring of the lines at the moment, and it's like a pendulum swing kind of thing, and we've got to eventually just kind of recognize that everybody has masculine and feminine within them, It's hard to say really without being attacked for something that you're going to say. But I just think that the most important thing is rebalancing the female aspect of culture and society and everything, because it has been, you know, squashed and rated as second to you know, rationality and scientific vigor and all that kind of stuff, and I think that's why the whole world is completely out of whack, and why there's so many wars, and because we are completely off balance, and we need the softer, gentler side. Both male and females need both sides and need to honor both sides equally, rather than this whole, you know, oh, female, it's inferior, and if you're a man, don't be associated with being any, you know, in any way feminine. That's the problem. So that's all I'm trying to do. I mean, I don't have the answers to the big questions. I'm just trying to muddle through, you know, like everybody else. But deeply, I feel, and I think any woman really who thinks deeply about things feels the oppression and the way that it isn't fair, and so this is just my, I mean, I know that I write, I don't know why, but I've written songs naturally from a very young age, and this is how I voice myself in the world. And I know that I can write a good song. I've been writing songs for decades, and I know that I can write a really, really good song. And so this is my way of just trying to push that message out a bit further, get people thinking, get people talking about it. People, you know, will resonate with it, hopefully. And just, you know, I think that music and art can change the world. Yeah. And this is what I'm trying to do. And I hope it's that's okay for you. I really respect all you, there's a part of me that's like, don't say anything, because these women are so amazing. It's just keep your mouth shut. But thank you for having me. Thank you for letting me present my project, and it's been really great to listen to you speaking, and really interesting, and I just feel very grateful to be in the presence of such wonderful women.
I just wanted to say that I don't call them masculine and feminine. I call them dominant ways of knowing and subjugated ways of knowing, because that's a cultural construct. And I changed from calling them masculine and feminine when I was speaking about this a long time ago now in an education conference. And an African person from the middle of Africa came up to me and said, I wish you hadn't called it male and female, because it's the way I would want to know. From my particular tradition. And of course, we have Ubuntu coming out of that tradition, for example. And I realized that it was not male and female. It was actually whether they were valued in the society or not. And that's when I said that if you want to know in a subjugated way, you will become diseased because you won't fit in the dominant culture. And, you know, many people, as you've rightly said, Siân, who want to know in subjugated ways, feel outsiders and not belonging, because the dominant culture has no value for them. So I don't in general use male and female. It so happens that women have been subjugated in Western culture. In other cultures, they haven't. So so you've got, I think it's better than masculine and feminine. It's dominant and subjugated for me.
Okay. Yeah, that makes
women
sense.
were subjugated also in other countries, not only in Western countries, in Muslim countries, and
yes, but they weren't in matriarchal cultures.
Oh
like
no,
Malabar,
no, they weren't.
Like that.
No.
So it's a question of, and I think I would say that every culture needs to look at which values are subjugated in order to make the society completely full and completely enriched. So you always have to look to the margins. You have to look to the outsiders to balance the society. At the moment, what we've got in the UK is a government which is trying to ban all outsiders rather than include them. And that, I think, is the tragedy of our culture.
Yeah, I don't know why, as a species, we're so afraid of things being different, you know. I grew up in rural Southern Ireland as an English girl, and I mean, it was the 80s. It's different now, but back then, just for being English, I was completely obliterated, you know, bullied for years. But it's just this. I've often thought that, why is it so bad that things are different? Why is it so, you know, I just don't understand this. Oh, you're different, we must stop you. And I just don't understand where that comes from. I suppose it's fear, and I suppose it's this logical, you know, that rational side of the brain that wants to put everything into its, okay, I understand that because it's in this box, and I understand that because it's in this box. And I suppose if something, some kind of a stray thing comes, it causes fear, maybe, that like, I don't understand you, you must, you know, it's
Yeah.
I think you can say that in Western culture, it has been to do with the dominance of a certain sort of man, usually with not only money, but age and power. And, you know, like you, Siân, but very different experience. I went to Oxford in the 1960s. And in my year, there were 3 women and 36 men. And some of the men wouldn't even teach women because we couldn't even be there. So, I mean, you can see, when you think of the dominance of Oxford and Cambridge in the notion of rationality, you can see that even when we managed to get there, we weren't exactly accepted as part of the deal. And whereas the men were clearly being prepared to be the leaders of the musical generation, that we were expected to teach, because that's what women did.
Yeah,
so,
Siân,
you know, I mean, it's been a hard world. But the same would be true of people of a different coloured skin in that world. It would be equally true of them. It would equally be true of somebody in a wheelchair.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not only to do with that. It's the fact that you've got a certain sort of person who controls it and accepts the people who look like them.
Yeah.
Anyway, I must go.
Anyway, yeah.
I just wanted to say that I was here. Oh, you can actually
Hello, Judith.
hear me.
Judith,
We can
hi.
hear
You
you.
can't see me.
We did see you bleep. We did see you bleeply, Judith.
Oh, did you? Oh, well,
Oh, yes.
hello, anyway.
Hello.
Thank you very much, Siân and Siân, and I can't say it in
Siân.
and everybody. I would have liked to have heard a bit more about your process and how the whole thing affected you.
Oh, it was life-changing. Yeah, absolutely. Like,
was it?
yeah, studying all that material so in-depthly. Like, I read the chapters over and over and over again, and took notes and underlined things, and it just really.
You explained that at the beginning, didn't you?
Yeah, but then, like, studying that material that in depth was, it just, I mean, it was blowing my mind left, right, and center. I mean, I was, you know, up awake at night staring at the ceiling, thinking about all this stuff all the time. It was life-changing. It changed my life, and it continues to change my life. But the process of writing the songs and doing all that was incredibly life-changing for me.
And you were in beautiful Ireland, Southern Ireland. Which bit did you say?
Cork.
You're in Cork.
Right down at the bottom.
Oh, well, I know Kerry a bit.
Cork is near to Kerry, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. It's beautiful, absolutely beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful country, yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
Thank you. Anyway, good night, everybody. We're going to say our good nights now.
Good night.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you,
Bye.
Siân. It was wonderful.
Thank
Truly
you.
wonderful.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.